Hello YouTubers, Tross here. Have a little video here of a design for a mob spawner that I've been working on a bit. Basically, I've been watching Mumbo Jumbo play on the Hermitcraft Season 4 Mesified server, and he's been making a mob spawner, and I've made mob spawners in the past, and while his design is good, I have a few improvements, some minor ones, but I think if anyone is planning to make a mob spawner on their own, they should at least consider some of my improvements. I have made not this mob spawner, personally, but I've made ones like this design in the past. This is actually off a server I played on Minecraft 1.7. But I've made a similar design. I typically call this the X design, but I've made it without ice. The ice makes it slightly faster for the mobs to come out. This is currently turned off, but basically there's a little circuit here that if on, how do I... there's a control room down there. I'm assuming that if I take that piece of redstone out, it'll turn this on. Yep, it is going. How long will it? Is now flushing with water. The mobs slide on the ice, although this really isn't necessary. And they all come off. There's a lot of floors in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 8 floors. And the mobs will fall, hopefully to their death. And just in case the person who built this one added some iron golems to kill any of the remaining mobs, they then have a minecart system underneath, which is actually, well, is a lot easier to build than a 1,000 hoppers. The version I built of this, I did not use ice. So you have to run the water maybe a little longer. But what I had was water flows from the left and the right, which would push all the mobs into a single channel. And I believe it was 4 blocks wide, and that would go down then towards the lava blade. This is probably a little quicker, although, as you can see, the collection is a little harder. With the lava blade, I then just had 4 hoppers because it was a 4 wide path. But you can see it works surprisingly well. Problems with this. This one actually seems to be working okay. Basically, the main problem I have, or part of the problem I have with this design and with Mumbo's design, are right here. The dispensers. If you start walking away from this, or walking towards it actually, and not all of it gets loaded at once, if the timer gets loaded, but not the rest, or not all of it, all of the mob farm, like if the chunk happens to end here, and this is, it's definitely wide enough, it's more than 16 blocks so that it's in multiple chunks, you can get into a state where some of the dispensers are triggered and dump their water out, and then you load the rest, and then the dispensers are triggered again to suck up the water, but the ones that just got loaded will dump theirs out, and then they kind of permanently get out of sync, and it's hard to get them back in sync. And that is basically going to have one floor or 2 floors, or not even a floor, but a whole side that is permanently covered with water, except for the time that the others flush. And that's really going to reduce your mob spawning rates. Now for this design, it is relatively easy to build. This is a 15 long, and then it's 11, 9, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 13, 11, 13, 15. And that's 65 per wedge, 64 per wedge, 64 blocks per wedge, giving you 256 per floor, 256 spawning points. And then this has 8 floors for, well, that should be just over 2,000, 2,048. So let me show you Mumbo Jumbo's version. And while I don't have access to Hermitcraft Season 4, the previous seasons have been sent or uploaded and can be downloaded, and I have done that. So let's go to Season 2. Okay, here we are in the Hermitcraft Season 2 world at Mumbo Jumbo's base. And here is his design of his mob spawner. He has a collection area at the bottom here, and a timer, and it actually should be running. We are in spectator mode, so we can actually fly through stuff, but because we are in spectator mode, there probably won't be mob spawning because there aren't actually any players. And right away here, you can see the problem I was talking about. Certain of the water streams were not loaded, and when the streams do change, you have areas that are always covered with water. For example, this area right over here, hopefully the water will change in a second or two, and you'll see that it will never clear of water, reducing the spawn space considerably. So you can see there's this whole area right here where water never leaves, and any place there is water on at all times, or at this, where the water edge is, basically, will always be covered with water. And that reduces the spawn area a lot. Now, this design, if I did my math correctly, has over 400 spawn spaces per floor, so it's basically 75% more spawn spaces per floor, and that's why with only 5 floors, as this has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it actually probably produces better rates than the design, the X design that I showed you. Which is why the X design was built with 8 floors instead of just 5. But otherwise, this is relatively simple in that the redstone, you only need a torch tower, although you do need a little more redstone overall. There's only 2 torch towers where the other design, the X design, had 4. And basically, this is, I believe it's time just to send 2 a pulse, wait like 15 seconds, and then send another pulse. So it's like equal time of on water and off water. But you just need a 1 torch tower on each side, and then a row of redstone right behind the dispensers. Here's the dispenser. You can see the redstone line is on a, well, some blocks right behind it, and that's how they get triggered. So let's take a look at Season 3. Here is the Season 3 world. And let's go check out the spawner here, mob farm. Now again, the collection has a whole bunch of hoppers here, so that takes a lot of iron. Now they did have a iron farm here, but well, the whole thing is made out of iron, but if you're building in survival, that's a lot of hoppers. Again, similar floor. Basically, it's just instead of having the further out parts at the edge, it has them in the center, but you have basically the same issue again. Some of these didn't get loaded when the timer went, and you now have water covering areas all the time. Now, I believe this timer is, well, actually it's on this end, I think. Yes. It's a bit more customized so that there are 2 pulses quicker together and then a longer delay. And that would work great if all the water was synchronized correctly, because you only need the water on long enough to push the mobs off. But it may take 10 to 15 seconds, or maybe more, to have the area reach the spawn cap. So you really only need the water on for like 5 seconds, maybe 7, and then you want to wait, maybe 20 seconds between for optimal spawning. So this timer's, I think, a little more complex to allow that. But, with the problem with the water again, it hurts the spawning rates. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, no. The, where these double blocks are, the dispensers, you can see them right here. So that's how they get triggered. It's the same type of torch tower. Uses actually quite a few number of redstone torches, but this is a slightly more redstone heavy design than the X design, which only had torch towers. But it shouldn't be a problem coming up with this much redstone, even in survival. You get a lot of redstone from each block. So let's take a look at my design and see some of the changes I have made. Okay, this is my design, and, well, the biggest change, which you can't see yet, is I'm not using dispensers. This is off right now. Let me turn it on. Oh, this was my initial design. You can still see I have a big section of hoppers here, but I have a later design that removes them. But the big change here, and it's a bit dark, but it's a bit laggy for some reason. But I'm using pistons. There's, let me go into spectator mode. So there's a block of water here, a source water block, and a piston pulls back, letting that water out. It then falls an additional block, so it does go 8 spaces to the edge here. These 2 blocks are 2 blocks apart, so there is enough room for mobs to fall. And here comes one now, who happened to spawn before I went into spectator mode. But then the items are collected and actually go into a sorter at the bottom. There is no way for these to get out of sync. Dispensers work on pulses, so if they're not loaded when a pulse comes by, they'll miss it, while the loaded ones will get it, and that will cause them to get out of sync. Pistons are on-off. If the redstone is on, they'll extend, and even if they were unloaded, when they get loaded and the redstone behind them will then get powered and turn on, they'll then be in sync with all the other pistons. The one slight drawback of using pistons here is I could either sacrifice floor space and not have the water drop down from the piston, but that would have less spawning points, so I actually have to have a height of 3 per floor instead of a height of 2 per floor, or at least 2 above the floor space. So, like, the walls in Mumbo Jumbo were only 2 high where I have 3 high, which makes mine a little taller. But it simplifies the torch tower. I mean, it's now just really simple. No need of the back and forth. So I use less torches. It's not really that much of a redstone savings. I have this set up so it's basically half the time the water is on and the other half the time the water is off. I believe this goes up to like 18 blocks. Maybe it's 16. I think I might have changed it for a later one. The other drawback of using pistons are pistons themselves are not solid blocks. Whereas piston is right here. So I had to put blocks all around the pistons to prevent light getting in. Yeah, you can see the piston there. There has to be a block on the top, bottom, left, right, and behind. Well, behind is taken care of by the redstone running along these blocks, but you know, I had to add these 4 blocks on each side. So it's a slight bit more material, but blocks are the cheapest part of this. So that was this design. I actually forget what I changed for this one. I think it might have been with the sorter, actually. Oh, yes. So this, when it's running fast, let's go back to creative, and that should turn it off. I had a simple sorter, but you can actually get items or drops at a faster rate. This will only do basically one item. I turned you off. Maybe you were off? Whatever. This will only do one item every 4 ticks because that is how fast items move through hoppers. But you can get items at a higher rate than that, especially if you idle above this by like 30 or 40 blocks, and this is the only loaded area where mobs can spawn. You're going to get a lot of spawns there. So, in this version, we still have the hoppers collecting them, but they basically, one half comes out into the one set of hoppers, the other half goes into the other set of hoppers, and we have 2 dispensers here that shoot items into a water stream. I can actually show it better over on the next one, We then use some ice in this chest to align the items right on the edge, so they'll go along the edge of the hoppers instead of bumping up and down along the middle. But this can handle twice the number of items at a time. And let's just show that over here. Got some wacky items, but right now just the one dispenser is operating, and now they both are. They basically both operate off of the number of items in the dispensers. The other change I made here is I'm using now minecarts to collect the items. A little laggy for some reason. There they go. Says I'm getting over 60 frames a second, but I guess the positions aren't always getting updated when there's a lot of items around. We should be getting 2 items in here at once. If... Oh, the other one didn't... Oh, the other one's about to come and stop. And... Well, you can see there's 2 being dispensed at once. Basically, hoppers will only take items every 4 seconds, but again, we have 2 inputs here. Things are getting picked up by the minecarts. The problem with using hopper minecarts here is they only have 5 slots, which means they can only pick up 5 types of items at once. And as you can see, we have more than 5 types of items. These are all the items that the different mobs can drop. We got skeletons, we got spiders, we got creepers, we got zombies, we have witches which can drop sticks, bottles, sugar, glowstone, redstone, and also spider eyes. And then finally, which you should never actually get from this mob spawner, I have ender pearls as a sortable item, but because water's used, endermen should not spawn in here, actually. They're afraid of water. If water touches them, they should teleport somewhere else. This last is a overflow, just in case something doesn't get sorted, it will fall into this overflow chest. So like I was saying, the carts only can hold 5 different item types, but basically, if it misses something, the next time it goes past, it should pick it up as... It should be one of the first things that it runs into. There should be enough time between the drops that the minecarts clear everything and then come back. So nothing should ever despawn here on the floor. Even if it's not picked up on the first trip, it should be picked up on the next. So let's see. Like, there's some glowstone over here, and it wasn't picked up. But this cart will drop off everything it has, which will take a bit. Here you can see we are actually outputting 2 items at once. We've got ice, then they catch up to each other here on stone, and then they go through the sorter. And as soon as this is done, here we go. We should pick up the glowstone this time. And we did. I tried to minimize the amount of powered rails and still have it go at a good pace. So it should be resource efficient. You get 16 rails for 6 iron. So this is a lot less iron needed than a whole bunch of hoppers by quite a bit. You can see here how the items are riding right on the edge of the hoppers. There goes that glowstone. I also have a system. There's 10 chests per item, and some hoppers, also storing items. If items start backing up into the top chest, the light will come on letting you know, hey, we're almost full, so you can empty it or do whatever you want. These should all be overflow protected, or they are all overflow protected. They were all... Oh, yeah. They all are overflow protected. So even if the item backs up, it's not going to cause the next sorter problems. You'll just have things wind up in the overflow. These are all 3 long, which means you need at least 42 items before they start emptying. And if it fills up to 64, it won't go and activate the next one, because that's still less than what's needed to activate a 4th item over, or 4th redstone dust over. So that's basically this design. I'll have a download of this world. This is well, this is my minecart testing world. Lots of stuff in here. You will probably spawn right over here. I believe that diamond block is the actual spawn point, although you probably spawn in an area around it. That's north. These things are in the southeast. Right where you spawn is some of my older minecart station designs. Got a bunch of different things all around. Over here is my 64-track station design, and then beyond that is even more, although they were never fully completed. Here is my different versions of this. This 3rd one here with the hopper carts collecting is probably the most survival friendly. You don't have to build this all out of glass. I just did that so you can actually see the mobs falling. I believe it is 53 blocks from the bottom floor here to the floor down there, and that should be enough to kill anything, even with feather falling boots. There's 3 extra solid blocks here to get the light level low enough so that things can spawn even at the edge here. This should be, you can see it's light level 5 here, so it is low enough for things to spawn. It's just a lighting glitch, and see, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should be easy enough to have things, or it's dark enough to have things spawn at all times. Turning it off, we just lock these hoppers, so you can actually, if you wait until mobs fall and then turn it off, it'll be turned off with the water in place, so nothing will spawn. You can also turn it off so that there is no water in place. For some reason you do want mobs up there, although I don't think you do. There's also a switch here to hold the items, and that will power these hoppers. If for some reason you want to hold the items, have them collected in this chest. But that will fill up pretty quickly if this is on. Let's see, other things in the area is, this is my Purpur Palace. Basically a chorus plant farm with some small ones that are purposely kept small so it's easy to harvest the flowers to replant, and then some large ones that automatically have their fruit go into a furnace and get popped. while a small portion of it, just the ones that fall directly on this middle row of hoppers, do go in, so you can use them for food or for teleporting around like an Enderman or whatever you want. You can take them out and then manually put them in the furnace if you want to do that, to pop all of them. And you can just press the button here, and there's only one piston holding back one block of water, but that water is carefully spread out to harvest the complete farm. I had a 1.9 pre-release video quite a while ago that showed this off more fully. This is a Enderman farm based off of the Hermitcraft Season 3 Enderman farm. I got a really huge... Let's go back into spectator mode. Alright, not sure what happened there. Had a little bit of a glitch. This is a villager trading center. It actually has spots for 200 villagers. You can put above them on the sign up here what they trade for and how much it costs. If you don't like the villager, you can just press the button. The minecart will take the villager, run their head through a bunch of solid blocks, killing them, and then the minecart will come up, kind of go through these switches, and you hook this up to a source of villagers. The minecart will go pick up a villager, it will come back, and the switches will remain in place, so the cart will go back to the side that the villager was taken from. Each side, or there's 4 sides. Well, 2 wings, each wing has 2 sides. Each side has some villagers waiting in carts already, but pressing the button basically... Well, let's... It will open the gate here. Oh, wow. A little bit of a glitch there. Let's try this. Nope. Button. Yes. That's how it's supposed to work. The minecart goes down, the gate is left open, and... Oh, did it? Yeah. A new cart from the water stream above will fall down. And then the minecart that you sent out... Let's do this one more time. So I will... So that minecart is running the would-be villager's head through these blocks, killing it. It will then come up in just a second. It will set these corners based on the direction it came from, and then after it picks up a villager, it will come back through the same corners, but instead of going down to the bottom, it will go up, carrying a new villager up into this waiting area. And it will make it... It'll go much faster even with a villager, because the minecart physics are different if the minecart is occupied. But the water streams keep these moving. They do potentially get stuck at the parts where there is no water stream, but that's why we have several of them. The next one will come along and push the stuck guy on. But basically these will cycle around, finding the open spot, like right here. You see that one is now moving. And as soon as it gets over the open spot with what would be a new villager if this was hooked up to a villager breeder, we would get a new villager to drop in there. Now, the only downside is you do want to wait about 30 seconds or so between killing villagers so that the switches at the end don't get messed up. You don't send too many guys to the wrong side. Should just drop right in. I said, there you go. And as soon as it drops in, the gate closes and all the rest continue on above. So there's 6 waiting per side, plus room for 50 on each side. So you got 50, 100, 150, 200. And yeah, that's the design. You don't want that big. Here's just a single 100 villager. This is the design I used. I believe I showed it off on the server I currently play on, but on that one I only had 25 per side, and now that we're in 1.9, it's really not enough. We basically have all of them filled, and we don't have any that have... we basically filled them while we were in 1.8 still, and we don't have any with Mending or Frostwalker. Luckily, someone else did set up their own trading center, not like this, but they got some Frostwalker and Mending enchantments. I'll show off this real quick in how it's supposed to work. And it helps if I am not in spectator. And let's go back to spectator. But basically, you can ride the minecart out, or there is a ice path that you can. It's exactly 2 blocks high, so running and jumping makes you go really fast. The floor is all black glass. It really should have been built further down, maybe even as low as here, so you don't see the big walls of water, but the water prevent Endermen from spawning on top. You can then follow this all the way down. Here we're, I believe, 150 blocks away. And let's go into creative. You can hardly see the floor at this point. And we should fill this up rather quickly with Endermen. Got a sword here with looting 3. And with the new knockback mechanics, in 1.9 you actually kill quite a few per sweep. It should take about 20 seconds to reach the mob cap. These chests here will collect the ender pearls. And yeah, lots of XP. Survival. The edge here looks dangerous, but it is perfectly safe. There is a too high gap, and the fence posts of these nether brick fences prevent you from walking out. There is a enchanting station. We've got some anvils if you want to combine stuff, and you can, I don't know, keep materials for books if you want. We have a special chest here that will send items back. The thinking is you collect some ender pearls, put them in here, this will carry them back, and you can even automate the dumping of them into the portal back, so that they'll appear at the spawn area of your world. Don't have any right here, but let's go into creative mode. And, you know, I can just... It's... Oh, obviously, yes, TNT should be under redstone. We're gonna need more of it. And... we're going to need... a flint and steel. So another way you can use this... And, I mean, this is how the Hermits in the Hermitcraft Season 3 use theirs. I've set this up a bit differently. You can put TNT right here. There'll be water behind it. You then use flint and steel to light it. And all of the Endermen die at once. I'll show it off again, but basically the water stream will push the TNT right into the center. I do have a iron bar there that will hold it up, but the explosion, because it is in water, won't destroy the glass or any of the other blocks. But it will kill all the Endermen. Let's do that again. Do it on this side. You just gotta stand back so you don't get caught in the blast. And you can see that very effectively gets you XP. So much so I'm trailing it all behind me. And then you just need to wait, 20 seconds or so. And you're all ready to go. Let's go into spectator mode. And all you really need for this to work, besides the design I had, the design I had has a little section up here. You just need to get a endermite to spawn, get him in a minecart, name him so he won't despawn, and that's what causes the endermen spawn up here, the only spawnable area. The rest is covered with water, and then they head towards him and they fall down these trapdoors. And that's how it works so fast. So that's it for this video. I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with some more interesting Minecraft designs. Don't forget to check out the world download in the description, where you can then look at these, copy them into your worlds using MC Edit or whatever you want, and see you next time.